Shalom, my friends. Shalom, my enemies. This is your old pal, Rabbi Sol Solomon, founder and spiritual leader of Temple Sons of Bitches in Great Neck, New York. And you know, if you watch this program, Dave's Gone By, you know how much I love the theater and theater people. And oh, we have a creative theater person talking with us today on the program. She is descended from theater royalty, and she's something of royalty herself. She was Amy in the original national tour of the musical Company, and she was on Broadway in the original Cabaret as one of the Sallys in the show. She's done a whole bunch of other things beyond that, as well as she was in movies with some rather famous people, people like Robert De Niro and Gene Hackman and Kevin Kline and other people we will be talking about with Tandy Cronyn, because she is starring in a solo show. It's called The Tall Boy. She's going to tell us all about it. It's at the end of September. In fact, it's happening this afternoon, 2 o'clock. Go see it, but not before we talk to Tandy Cronyn. Shalom, Tandy.
And shalom to you, Rabbi.
Thank you.
Good to hear from you.
Thank you. So let me ask you. You come from a very goyish background, but tell me, do you know any Jews?
Yes, I grew up in New York, and I also grew up in the theater and made a life in the theater, and so yes, I know lots of Jews.
Now, was there any question of your not going into the theater, considering that your mom and dad were Hume Croghan and Jessica Tandy?
Well, it wasn't necessarily a question. It was just my choice. I mean, I have a brother, and we also had an older half-sister who's sadly no longer with us, but neither of them went into the theater. My brother went into the movie business on the technical side of it, and my half-sister was a stay-at-home mom and raised 4 children. I was the one who fell in love with theater, and it's given me a very good life, I have to tell you. It's been pretty interesting.
Oh, how about, well, okay, first of all, what made you, since it wasn't just like a genetic family thing, then what was the impetus for you personally to fall in love with the theater?
Well, I was taken to the most extraordinary things, from a very young age. I got taken to the theater, and I just thought it was magical. And then around the house, I heard both my parents talking about it passionately, that rubbed off on you. And so I kind of absorbed that passion, although my brother and sister really didn't.
Right, that's the thing. But I want to know,
you never know who's going to get hit by the bug.
Oh, tell me about it. That's how I got leprosy last year. I'm better. I'm mostly better. I had a little bit of a falling out, but kidding.
So glad to hear it.
Well, let me ask you, though, you said you saw some extraordinary things. Please be specific.
I saw Mary Martin in the original production of the musical Peter Pan.
Oh.
And I got taken backstage afterwards, because my parents, of course, knew her. And I was with my then best friend in grade school, Nina Hirschfeld. We went backstage, and Mary Martin sprinkled the fairy dust on us. So we were determined that we were going to fly. And we constructed cardboard wings, and we went with my nanny to Carl Schurz Park, which was very close to where I lived. And we kept jumping up on the big stone balustrade there and jumping off and flapping our wings for like mad. How we didn't break something, I don't know.
I thought this was going to be a horrible story of you're going up on a catwalk or something, and you're young enough you don't realize. No, Mary Martin was on wires.
No, but we were determined that we were going to fly. I don't know how my governess put up with it.
Your governor? Oh my God, we have a governess here. Oh my God.
My mother worked, and
and
my parents went out on tour a lot, so I was. And my brother and I had to stay in school. I kind of wished that we'd gone on tour with my parents, maybe with a tutor or something, but no, we didn't do that. And so they were gone for long periods of time. That was the way Broadway worked back in, say, the 50s.
Yeah.
If you would do a Broadway play, and there were far more plays on Broadway back in those days.
Yeah.
Now it's really all musicals. but they're far more straight plays. And if you had a hit on Broadway, you would do it on Broadway for a season, and then you would take it out on the road. And that's where I think my parents made a very good living, and how they managed to pay my enormous school fees. And Chris is going to, Brearley and Buckley.
Whoa, my goodness.
We got to go to really good schools.
Wow.
Although, being left in New York with the governess and the cook I don't recommend it.
So did you feel, or did you and your sister, your half-sister, did you feel estranged on some level emotionally from your parents, even though you admired their work?
Oh, no, not estranged at all, but, it wasn't, and my sister, she was half a generation older than me, and she kind of stayed in California. She was, that's kind of a long story to get into, but I didn't, have a normal, because there was a half a generation between us, and because, we moved east, and she ultimately she fell in love with her high school sweetheart, and married him, and stayed married to him for life, and they had 4 kids, and she led a totally different life, and she was California based, and I was very much a New Yorker.
Right. So
cultural differences between us.
Now you did also make that choice to be an actor person. So did that, on some level, in your adult life, cost you a normal, quote unquote, personal life, or did you have husband, kids, whatever?
No, I never married. I don't have any kids. I led the kind of life that I probably couldn't have led, if I'd had a family. And, so I missed some stuff, but I also got to do some things that were quite extraordinary. And I went out on tour. I could kind of do what I wanted in many ways. It had its pluses and minuses.
Well, absolutely. Well, I want to talk also, you say you went on tour. I mean, we're talking about the original national tour of Stephen Sondheim and George Furth's landmark musical Company. Do you remember, how did you get that gig? What was your, did you audition with a song from the show? Did you audition with the Rodgers and Hammerstein? How did you get the gig, first of all?
Actually, that I was just offered. It was the touring show, and I was replacing somebody who had done maybe the first part of the tour. And I did the second half of the tour. And I had already done the tour of Cabaret. I did it on Broadway. I replaced Anita Gillette for just a month.
Oh.
When she left the show earlier than they thought to do a new musical. And suddenly, Ruth Mitchell, who was Harold Prince's right hand, just said, how would you like to, would you be willing to go out on tour? These tours were rough. It was not only the national tour, you also did a lot of bus and truck stops, which meant, traveling all day and then doing the show at night, and they could be very short stands. Of course, some of them were longer. And the company tour had a stint in it, of several months where we were doing that kind of bus and truck schedule. So Ruth Mitchell said, I'd already done this with Cabaret, and it was 8.5 months on the road. It's very rough going, and you play theaters that are sometimes way too big and have no intimacy, and it's a very.
I played shuls like that. It's terrible. I played shuls where there's 2,000 seats and I've got 3 people in my congregation. It's just. No jokes land, nothing works.
Sometimes it was as much, we hit a town where they had built, a 3,000-seat cow palace, and it was a one-size-fits-all. You can do a musical here, you can do a concert, you can do a rock concert, you can do a lecture, you can do a political convention. They built an auditorium that was supposed to be good for everything, and it certainly was not good for theater. It didn't have, that wonderful relationship. And this was way, way back in the early 70s. And we didn't travel with complicated sound equipment. I mean, nobody was mic'd.
Oh, that's right. Back then, back in the day, right? You had to be heard by 3,000 people without.
And there were places where I felt that I had to scream my way through the show.
And here's a question for you. And we're talking, by the way, with Tandy Cronyn, who is talking about her being in the national tour of the original musical company. But you had to scream and sing "I'm Not Getting Married."
Yeah.
It's a patter song. Yeah.
And it's strange. Here we are. We're only talking about musicals that I've done. Those are the only two musicals that I've ever really done. I'm not a singer. I never was a singer. They cast me as Sally Bowles for the tour. And
well, Sally's not. With all due respect, Sally's not supposed to be that good.
She's not supposed to be a great singer, but still, you do have to sing the title song. And I went and auditioned, and I read the scenes very well. And then when I sang, everything sort of quivered and shook. I was frightened to the very core of my soul. And John Kander and Fred Ed were sitting out front, and John Kander gave me my first belting lesson. Because I didn't know about the difference between belting or singing soprano. I had this little twee soprano voice that probably nobody could hear. And he said, come downstage, come down to the edge of the stage. I came down to the very edge of the stage and lost my balance and swung my arms and just missed falling in the orchestra pit. And then he said, say, hey. I said, yeah, hey. He said, okay, now sing like that.
Oh.
So I basically learned how to shout my way through a song.
But the funny thing is, you had a
to a singing teacher who taught me how to support it, and do it properly, and so I did that for 9 months, and it was a strain, but it's just 3 rhythm songs. You don't, as Sally, have a ballad, and probably that was because the first person that they cast as Sally was a dancer from England.
Was it Jill Hayworth or something? Was it?
Jill, I think her name. I think you pronounced it Haworth.
Oh, sorry.
She's no longer with us.
Okay.
And
so I can pronounce her name any way I want.
She had never sung before.
Right.
So they did that. But then once Liza Minnelli did the movie, you really couldn't get away with a Sally who wasn't a singer.
Or a good, I remember seeing the late, speaking of people who are no longer with us, Natasha Richardson, who was an okay singer, but the whole point was she acted the song. So she was fabulous in her way,
I heard that. I didn't see her, but I did hear that.
She was great.
But, when I went into theater, I opted to go to a British drama school because what I really wanted to do was classical rep. I had seen the Guthrie Theater. My parents opened the Guthrie Theater in 1963. I was still in high school, and that meant that they were going to be away for most of the school year. So I went and lived with my godparents, and that was Robert Whitehead and his first wife, Virginia.
Wow.
Robert Whitehead, the producer.
Yeah.
It was a fabulous year. First of all, I absolutely adored Robert. He was the perfect godfather. He was somebody I could go and talk to when I was, confused or unhappy, or he was somebody I could actually complain to. And
but you had to kiss his ring because he was the godfather.
Not my parents, so there's this kind of distance combined with a very special closeness that was wonderful. But Robert was a totally distinguished, one-of-a-kind producer who really, he didn't just raise the money to produce shows on Broadway. He got involved with the playwriting. He had a very strong relationship with Arthur Miller. And he had a really strong hand in how a play got developed because he understood writing and production and the whole theater experience from an artistic point of view as well as from the financial point of view. We don't have too many people. I don't know if we have any people like him anymore. So I spent the school year living with the Whiteheads, which was fascinating. And then I had a very long summer vacation at Brearley, and I went out to Minneapolis and spent,
at the Guthrie.
3 months of the summer with my parents in Minneapolis, watching the inaugural season of the Guthrie Theater be developed and then ultimately open. I got to sit in the theater and watch Jerome Guthrie direct Shakespeare and Chekhov that first season, they did Hamlet, and they did The Three Sisters, as well as it was a full rep, I think, of 4 or 5 plays, but then played in rotating repertory. I pinched myself and said, "You actually saw Tyrone Guthrie direct." I mean, I don't know how many of your audience
would remember
with him, but he was of his generation, one of the great British directors.
Well, did he have a certain style that you picked up on? Was there something that he was a signature Guthrie move?
Well, he had an acute sense of the theatrical. I remember there was a moment in the I think this actually was the 3rd season where I just visited briefly. That was in '65, and they were doing Richard III. My father was playing Richard III, and there was a big scene at the end of the battle where there were 2 things that I really remarked on. One was Lee Richardson, who was playing Richmond, I guess, is the character. He's the one who becomes the next king after Richard III is defeated. And he has he gets on what we call the above, which is that upper level of the Shakespearean stage. And all the troops and courtiers and whatnot are assembled below him. He really knew how to move large numbers of people around the stage in a very effective and theatrical manner. So Lee Richardson is giving this speech from the above, and I can remember Tyrone Guthrie saying, "No, dear boy, you can't stop and make a breath there. There's no time. You can't pause. You've got to do all those on one breath." And poor Lee was left gasping. He really gave me a sense of the technical skills that you need, like maybe to be able to say 8 lines of verse on one breath. Because the rhythm of the Shakespearean music doesn't allow you to pause and breathe and or ah or anything. It's a piece of music. And then there was another moment, I think it was probably the 1st season, when, again, you had a lot of people on stage, and it was an assemblage of the troops before a battle or something like that. And he just said, "Okay, you," and pointed to, he knew the actor's name, but it was, it was probably one of the extras. It was somebody in an either tiny part or, just playing a spear carrier. "Okay, on that line, faint." So there was this kind of magical moment. It fit the situation perfectly, where, a soldier who's been standing at attention for God knows how long just keels over, and it punctuated the scene in a wonderfully dramatic and meaningful way. And
that's a director. That's
Guthrie, who really knew what he was doing with the classics.
Now, speaking of the classics and people who know what they're doing, and actors as opposed to directors, we should mention that Tandy Cronyn was with Lincoln Center Repertory for a couple of years. You did in repertory.
There, and actually, we didn't do a Shakespeare, but I was I played a very small part in the John Millington sings The Playboy of the Western World. It's an Irish play. And we had he's no longer with us, but John Hirsch directed it. And another man who really knew what he was doing. And that was quite, the production didn't turn out that well, but the rehearsal process was absolutely fascinating because there was somebody at the helm who really dug into the material and knew it inside out and backwards.
Well, speaking of that production, and it was in rep with The Good Woman of Sept.
The Good Woman of Sept, which was a terrible failure.
Oh, can you put your finger on it now of why? I mean, the play isn't wonderful, but yeah.
It was, the why, how do you put your finger on it? This just happened. Stuff just went wrong. We never really found, as a company, the style of the play in a unified way. I mean, everybody was kind of doing their own thing.
And by the way, the people...
Brecht is very difficult to do today. It's not something that really appeals to the audiences that we have now.
Which is interesting because with that... Yeah. No, that's kind of interesting because you would figure Brecht would be very applicable in an era of Hamilton and an era of avant-garde stuff and in an era where everything is meta. Brecht was meta before there was mega. And I've never got mega Brecht I didn't like. Yeah, but I'm just saying. And I should also mention, by the way, you talk about the company of these plays. That company included Colleen Dewhurst, Priscilla Pointer, Philip Bosco, David Burney, and my favorite, Luis Avalos, who was on the Electric Company on TV. Oh my God. What a,
Who was that last person you mentioned, Louis?
Avalos, the late Luis Avalos. See, I don't know if you remember, there was a TV show called The Electric Company for kids learning to read.
Yeah.
He was the little Spanish guy.
Oh.
And he was in those plays with you, as was Colleen Dewhurst and Philip Bosco.
That was so long ago.
Oh, fair enough.
I adored Philip Bosco. Oh, he was wonderful. And watching him prepare for an entrance, there was a scene where it's a crowd scene. There's a lot of us come on stage, and it's in that, little shebeen, which is sort of a rural pub. And Philip Bosco and several of the other characters are totally drunk in it. And I would watch Phil off stage as we were waiting to make the entrance to that scene, get into this totally believable and detailed, inebriated state. It was a lesson. It was such a joy watching, and he was such a kind and generous man.
Oh, good. Oh, that's so nice.
I lost him about 2-3 years ago. I miss him.
Is that a thing that, because you're not that you're dwelling on it, but it's a lot of people now at your age where you have to say, oh, they passed, oh, they're gone. Does that affect you?
Yeah. Yes, it's depressing. But such is life. What are you going to do?
Well, and it's kind of interesting because one of the things that your parents were best known for playing was in the gin game. They were really known as a couple in that show, which was about old people in a not so wonderful nursing facility.
Right. That was such a wonderful, wonderful play, and actually it was taped when they did it in London. So there is a
yeah.
There is a film of it. It's very good, and Mike Nichols directed it. It was really a superb production of a really quite wonderful play.
Could you watch your parents on stage uncritically? I mean, did you leave your faculties as an actor, director, whatever, at the door, or is it still? Do you see your mom and dad up there and see their technique? What would go through your minds watching Tandy and Cronin on stage?
I don't know. I would give myself over to the play. I'm not sure that I watched them particularly critically.
Okay. Just kind of curious.
And of course, I think it's a process that bit by bit changed over the years. It was one thing when I was watching them on stage when I was a child, and then something quite different once I was grown up and had become an actor myself and was, of course, interested in the craft and so forth. They were both quite wonderful. They were very different in their approach to their work. My father was a real workhorse and very detailed in the way he thought about things, and he'd take notes, and sometimes he'd write things down. And my mother, I think, worked more instinctively. But they were still somehow a really good team.
Are you more like your mom or your dad, personally, one, and as an actor person as a second thing?
I think as an actor, I lean a little more towards her, but I really can't answer that question. I don't know. I learned different things from both of them.
Well, by the way, if you want to see what Tandy Cronyn has learned from her parents, from the folks at the Guthrie Theater, from all the places that she studied, you can watch her on stage today, September 28th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, because she is in a solo show called The Tall Boy, and it's very easy to get to. It's in the Theater Row Theater Complex there, over on 42nd between 8th and 9th. But tell us, please, what is The Tall Boy?
The Tall Boy is based on a short story that I stumbled across I was looking for material for a solo show, and a writer friend of mine said, go look at Kate Boyle. And I decided I really wasn't interested in doing a show about Kate Boyle, but I thought I should research her and just see. And I randomly plucked one of her short story collections off the shelf at the New York Public Library and read it and found this short story that just grabbed me by the throat and wouldn't let me go. She wrote a whole bunch of short stories about life in occupied Germany, the American occupied zone right after World War II. She'd gone over, actually, I think, as foreign correspondent for, I can't remember which publication, but that was unusual for a woman to be sent with that kind of assignment. She covered the Nuremberg trials, and then she stayed. And this story is actually about European orphaned by the war, who got swept up by American Army units during the war and then stayed with them and became what were called GI mascots. And they speak English in the accents of the soldiers that took them under their wing. And they've come to look on their army unit as their family. I mean, they don't have anything else. And of course, they're all desperate to get to America, to go back to America when the troops are sent home with their army buddies. But that's not allowed. Right after the war, we weren't taking in a lot of refugees.
Gee,
kind of
that hasn't changed. Okay.
Yeah, there's so much in the play which takes place in maybe 1946 that is echoed today. The attitude towards refugees to begin with, and then there's a huge issue of racism in the play because only one of the boys actually has a soldier who's made a commitment to him and has said, let's do this legally. I'm being shipped home. I'm going to write, and you got to go to one of these DP camps and get your papers straightened out, and we'll get you to America legally. But the soldier is black, and of course, in 1946, there's no way that the authorities are going to let
a black person
black
adopt.
Man, adopt a white boy. And so.
Well, when you do this show. When you do the Tall Boy, and you're doing it as part of the United Solo Festival on Theater Row, is it all narrative, or do you play these different characters in different voices?
Oh, no, I have to step it over. It starts out with the matron of the displaced persons camp, who's an American relief worker. It starts out with her, and she's the narrator, so there's bits and pieces of narration, but then I play the scenes, and I have to play all the characters. When I took this on, I thought, I can do this. The three boys, one's Czech, one's Italian, and one's Polish. But they've learned to speak English. One of them has a deep Southern accent because that's, who he learned his English from. And one sounds like he's a hood from the Jersey Shore. He talks with a pronounced Brooklyn accent. And the little Italian boy kind of sounds like Jimmy Cagney because that's who he probably models himself after. They've recreated themselves in the aftermath of their loss. That was what really drew me to the story, the way these boys have been imprinted by the American soldiers. And I thought, I'm pretty good at doing accents. I've done a lot of plays where I had to have a Russian accent or a Yiddish accent or I've lost count of the number of accents, Irish accents. And I thought, I can do that. You sort of,
the brogue thing,
Southern accent and the Brooklyn accent, and I've got to figure out how.
Top the simcha to you, kind of.
And I thought, that's going to be it. And then I thought, also, I guess I have to come up with different body language for each of these parts. I can do that. Well, it took years. I have actually been working on this piece for years. And
well, that's the thing. I wanted to ask you.
Capturing the different characters, but being able to slip in and out of them as you play a scene where it's dialogue. I mean, the writer gave me no quarter. I have to zip back and forth quite seamlessly between the characters. And there's a couple of scenes where there's three people on stage, and so it goes. And I got into this and thought, what was I thinking?
Well, you were doing this show. You first started doing this show, as far as I can tell, back in Texas in 2012. So
That's right. That was the inaugural production. And then there were, a couple of, there was a year where I had to put it aside because my director wasn't available. And then I got back to it, and then, then I found myself doing other things. So it's been very sporadic. However, I am going in December, and I'm going to do a 2-week run in Chicago.
Oh, what theater? Where?
At the Stage 773.
Cool.
It's a nice, intimate space in the heart of an area of Chicago where there's a lot of theaters.
So this is almost a tryout for Chicago. Talk about reverse sort of thing.
Well, not really. I did do this show 5 years ago at the United Solo Festival in 2014, and we won the award for the best adaptation. And so they invited me back this year because it's their 10th anniversary.
Oh.
And they've invited their favorite shows from past years to come and make a return engagement at the 10th anniversary.
Oh, very nice.
Festival. And I thought, well, yeah, I want to be part of that.
Well, sure. Well, absolutely. I think that everybody should go see her today. It's a matinee. It's at 2:00 on Theater Row, and the show is called The Tall Boy. Find out more and buy your tickets at unitedsolo.org. And also you can find out more about Tandy Cronin at tandycronin.com. But before we let you go, I want to ask you about some more of the people that you have worked with, because we've talked so much about theater. You've been in a few movies as well. And
yeah, I must say that I was never really interested in movies and television. My passion was for theater, and it's kind of ended up showing in my career, because it seems to me that like 85% of it has been theater. I've done very few movies, and they were, I think, most of them were movies for TV.
Well, yeah, except, but I'll stop you there, because there's one, let's talk about, it wasn't a hit, but there's a movie called Once Upon a Time in America, supposedly called, directed by Sergio Leone, featuring Robert De Niro, James Woods, Joe Pesci, and Tuesday Weld. Please tell me you have some stories about these people.
I didn't work with any of them.
Okay.
I actually, the person I was, Danny Aiello, I was a reporter who waylaid Danny Aiello, outside. We shot it in Montreal standing in for old New York. And so I was part of a gaggle of reporters that were besieging Danny Aiello on his way into or out of a courthouse. And I was on the same plane. He became a friend.
Oh.
We were on the same plane coming and going. And that was an absolutely delightful experience. I loved Montreal. And Sergio Leone was, of course, wonderful.
Oh, good. I don't know. I've never met the man. It is up to people like you to tell people like us why Sergio Leone was wonderful.
Well, he had to use a translator. I mean, he spoke English, but I think he didn't feel that he spoke it fluently enough to trust doing everything in English. So he had a translator, and he gave me. I've had a tiny part. I mean, I only have a couple of lines, but I remember he told me that, as I was asking my question, I needed to bring my pad and pencil up into the shot. And at first, I really didn't know what he was asking me to do, because that felt so counterintuitive. I felt that when you're asking the question, you're probably going to let your pad and pencil drop, and then
right afterwards,
start writing. And it was the other way. But that was what the shot needed, so that you knew that this reporter was taking notes. And I had to do it on my line, not on the other guy's line, because my camera's not going to be. I'm not going to be in the shot when Danny Aiello was speaking. Anyway, he was even though we were having to go through a translator. Well, finally, I didn't get what he was saying, and finally he just did it for me. And I said, ah. Off the expression on my face, the light bulb going on.
The universal language of everybody gets Right. as it were. Hey, let me also ask you another movie that you were on, probably only for a short time, but you were in a pretty much forgotten film called All Night Long. But check out, but the cast, the stars were Gene Hackman and speaking of Jewesses, Barbara Streisand. Tell.
I was in a scene with Gene Hackman, and I was playing the very dour secretary of a business where I can't remember the plot of the story, but Gene Hackman is trying to get a question answered, and I was the secretary that was sort of keeping him at bay. But we talked off camera. It was a very brief exchange. We talked off camera. He was, of course, I was on my way to the Old Globe Theater to do a whole summer season of Shakespeare at the Old Globe. And so we talked about that, and he was very interested in theater. I think he did quite a bit of it when he was younger.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, because once he hit movies, he never came back. Now, so many other people did, but he went to Hollywood, stayed there.
Yes, and what an extraordinary body of work.
Well, yeah, of course. And
I'm such a fan of his. I think he's really one of our greats.
Now, when you did that movie, though, you did a scene with him and no contact at all with Barbara.
No, she wasn't on set.
Okay, just checking. Now, I never met
her.
Here is the oddest, I don't know if it's odd, but here's the most unexpected credit of yours on the Internet Broadway database. Because you've got all these acting credits and the tours and things like this, but there's a thing there that said that you were assistant stage manager on Dracula when Frank Langella was. Is that true?
Yes, actually, there was a period where I decided I don't want to act anymore. I'm living out of a suitcase. I was constantly out of town or on the road. I felt that this is no way to live. And the work that I was doing on the road, particularly those tours of those musicals, where I was in 2,000-seat houses with no sound equipment, having to scream my way through the show, I thought, this is not good enough. What am I doing with my life? And so I decided to quit acting. Wow. I went to the Speed Writing Institute, and I learned how to do speed writing, which is a form of shorthand, and I learned how to type. And then I got a really interesting job first as the assistant to the founder and artistic director of the National Theater of the Deaf.
Oh, wow, okay.
And they did extraordinary work. But I was in the office, and I was David Hayes' assistant for about a year and a half, 2 years, and then he kicked me upstairs. I think he didn't like the way I made him answer his mail, so he kicked me upstairs, and I became company manager, which was an organizational job. I had to hire the bus for the tour and get the insurance and send out contracts and whatnot to all the people who.
No, wait. Let me stop you there just for a moment. I know it's incredibly on some level because of the organization you were working for, and you felt very proud of that. But also, you're sitting there in an office, you're making these phone calls and dealing with the unions and the Teamsters and hiring and this and that. After 2 weeks of that, didn't you think I gave up acting to do this instead?
No, I didn't. I was actually quite interested in that job, but what I didn't like about it was that, it was taking me out of town.
Oh.
A lot of the operations of the National Theater of the Deaf happened up in Waterford, Connecticut. They were a project of the Eugene O'Neill Theater Center. And I was constantly going up to Waterford and to-ing and fro-ing between Connecticut and my home in New York. And I thought, I quit acting to get away from this kind of life.
Right.
I'd like to, sleep in my own bed at night and maybe, have a social life and whatnot. So I quit that job, and by that time I had gotten over my antipathy to acting, and I went back to acting, and that was my first job, and it was sort of an accident. I didn't really know what I wanted to do with myself, so I went to my friend Mel Nugent and said, I don't know what to do next, but I've done the company manager thing and the assistant to the artistic director thing. What about stage management? Maybe I'd like that. And she said, well, Dracula, and we need an ASM who will also understudy the two women.
Oh, great.
So I auditioned for that, and I got that job, and I did that for quite a while. But, well, actually, I got the show open, but I quickly decided that being an ASM and an understudy was not what I wanted to do.
Sure.
So,
Well, wasn't being an ASM on that?
I went back to acting, and I went back to working out of town a whole lot of the time. Yeah. But at least I found myself more often than not in the phase of my career that started then. I finally made my way into the LORT theaters, the League of Regional Repertory Theaters. And I went to the Denver Center Theater Company and to the Old Globe in San Diego. And these were companies that, like the Guthrie, did both classical and modern work and did rotating rep. And that was what I had always really wanted to do. Like, finally, I wormed my way into that sort of circuit of actors who do the classics in the regional theaters.
Well, do you have an all-time
wonderful plays?
Do you have an all-time favorite regional theater experience in those years that you were doing everything, as you mentioned, all these different LORT places?
My all-time favorite was the inaugural season at the Denver Center Theater Company. We did a production. Again, it was a Brecht. It was.
Oops, what?
Not the Good Woman Sets Around. This one was the Caucasian Chalk Circle.
Oh, Brecht, yeah.
And Time Daly was playing the Grusha, the lead girl in that, and I was playing actually the villain. And it was a remarkable production. Oh, I was so fascinating.
Oh,
big company, lots of spectacle on stage, and a wonderful story at the heart of it. And it was an extraordinary company. I did a couple of seasons at the Denver Center.
Oh, that's marvelous.
This was back when it was first founded. A wonderful director who came out of the Guthrie, called Edward Payson Call, was the artistic director, and he directed
Caucasian Chalk. Yeah.
Caucasian Chalk.
Sure, yeah. Let me ask you, Tandy Cronyn, now, again, I mean, not to dwell on age sort of things, but you're at the stage where maybe you're not going to spend 6 months at this repertory, kind of 3 months here, 3 months. I mean, how much are you still wanting to do that sort of life? Or are you picking and choosing, like, yeah, I want to do this United solo show. I'm doing this solo show, 2 weeks in Chicago. But other than that, are you retiring, or you're still working, looking?
I'm semi-retired in that I do stuff that interests me. I don't actually have to, get out there and do whatever comes along, which is what I started out doing. I felt if I'm going to be a professional actor, you've got to do this full time. And so I did anything. I did tours. I did anything in summer stock, whatever I could get. I did commercials.
What commercials were you in?
I did a whole string. It was a wonderful experience. A whole string of commercials. This went on for about 3 years, this campaign, for Kmart. Oh. And I used to joke to my friends I'm with the Kmart repertory players, because it was a group of actors they kept using month after month after month, doing these spots that only ran for about a month, and then they would make up a whole new bunch of spots. And it was a remarkable and important director, John Hancock. He did the film Bang the Drum Slowly. Oh, well, yeah. And also, John Hancock should have worked at the Signature Theater, if you think about it, but that's just a joke, Well, you'll get it later. Okay, don't worry about it. But yeah, okay, so... that went flying over my head. Yeah, think about, John Hancock Signature Theater. Oh, right, yeah. Yes, that's... very good. Thank you. So, jokes are always so much better when you have to explain them a minute and a half later. That's the way we do it here on the program, We've been talking with Tandy Cronyn. Everybody, please take this opportunity to go see her today at 2:00 doing the solo show, The Tall Boy. It's at the Theater Row. Is it the Theater Row Theater or one of the theaters in there, like the Lion or something? Well, we're in the Studio Theater on the 4th floor. The Studio Theater of the Theater Row Theater. It's 410 West 42nd Street between, actually that'd be 9th and 10th, not 8th and 9th. Excuse me. It's just Ninth Avenue.
Now, buy your tickets at unitedsolo.org, and also find out more about what this woman has done and is doing at TANDYCRONYN.com. And that's all wise in there because she's a wise lady. It's TANDYCRONY and TANDYCRONYN.com. And I love dwelling on your career and your life, but also we'd like to get back with one last question for your very, very well-known parents, Hume Cronin and Jessica Tandy. Do you feel like, and you have a sibling still alive, who's sort of the custodian of their memorabilia when stuff that they did was on film or whatever, and dealing with residuals or dealing with somebody wants to put something out again on Blu-ray or Netflix or something? Who deals?
Well, my father was a very careful and compulsively organized man. All their papers have gone to the Library of Congress.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm so glad he did that because it's an extraordinary collection. Their careers covered, important years in American theater history, and there's correspondence with Hitchcock, with Fred Zinnemann, with John Guthrie, with Beckett, with a whole suite of important artistic figures within their lifetimes in the 20th century.
And it's all there at the Library of Congress.
All at the Library of Congress. When it comes to people wanting to use their image, which has come up very occasionally, but nothing really important. But then, my brother and I say yay or nay.
Right.
And it can get complicated. I probably shouldn't open that can of worms, but the whole copyright thing is so complicated. In any case, my father wrote a book, which I think everybody should read. It's called The Terrible Liar, and it's a wonderfully written book that covers not his entire career, but from the beginning up until, I think, the time when they went to the Guthrie. And then he never got around to writing part two, which is a pity because A Terrible Liar is really a delightful book.
Sort of his version of Lost Hearts Act 1, in a manner of speaking, I guess you could say. That sort of,
I suppose.
Yeah.
In a very different style.
Is it still in print, or do you have to sort of find it, use copies else?
I don't know that it's still in print, but yet you can find it. You can find it on the internet. There are copies here and there.
Well, let me ask then, I do have one little more question, and this can either involve your parents or just you, but what is your most precious piece of memorabilia from all your years in the showbiz?
My most precious piece of memorabilia from show business.
Yeah, did you get maybe a gift on opening night or something from your parents, or an autograph, or a thing, or a selfie? What?
I got my mother's original Tony Award which she got for playing Blanche in Streetcar. And this was tucked away in a drawer somewhere. They had a huge number of awards that my father said, I want them all kept together, and I think they were given to the American Academy of Dramatic Art, which I think has them on display. But my mother lost her original Tony. This was back in 1948, it would have been.
Yeah.
She got, and it wasn't the statue that you get now. It was just a little medallion that I think was on a bracelet.
Oh.
And it just has, JT inscribed on it. It doesn't say that it's a streetcar. It's very simple. But she lost that. She had it on a bracelet. They were, I think, trying something out of town. She took the bracelet off. She couldn't wear it in the show.
Yeah.
And put it in a drawer somewhere. And then when they went to pack up when the show was moving on, it was gone. Decades go by. And she gets something, I don't know whether it was a phone call or if it just came in the mail, but a Canadian, and it was in Sarnia, I think, that she lost it, which is a small town that's got a summer theater up in Canada. And a fisherman had been fishing in the river there, and he snagged this medallion, and he sent it to her. In the meantime, the Tony committee had heard, I guess from her or from somebody along the grapevine, that she had lost her original Tony, and they had given her a replacement. So there is the contemporary statue is part of that collection. It's at the American Academy, but I've actually got the original medallion that was given her in 1948.
Whoa. I'm so glad I asked that question. Oh my goodness. And what a wonderful answer, and what a wonderful way to close our lovely conversation with Tandy Cronyn, the star of The Tall Boy, as part of the United Solo Festival that is happening today on Theater Row at 2 o'clock for the matinee. Tandy, it just remains for me to say thank you so much for sharing your life and sharing your years of theater wisdom with us in the neighborhood, and shalom to you.
Thank you so much. This has been my pleasure.
Mine too. Shalom.